The city lights flickered against the midnight haze as Marcus Ghost Rivera leaned against the chipped brick wall of the old corner store. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, scanned the empty streets, an instinct honed over years of surviving the unforgiving concrete jungle. Ghost wasn't just a nickname, it was a reputation. He was known for slipping through the shadows, moving unnoticed, and making problems disappear without a trace. But for Marcus, this life was never supposed to be permanent. It was survival. Nothing more. Raised in the heart of Eastbrook, Marcus had watched his neighborhood decay under the weight of corruption and crime. Opportunities were scarce, and desperation was abundant. His mother, a waitress pulling double shifts at the local diner, did what she could to keep food on the table. His father, a ghost in his own right, vanished when Marcus was just 8. By 13, the streets had become both his family and his battlefield. Eastbrook was carved up by factions, each claiming blocks like kingdoms in a grim chess match. Marcus found his place with the Iron Kings, a gang notorious for its iron grip on the city's underground. He started small, running messages, watching corners, learning the game. By 17, he wasn't just playing, he was mastering it. His mind was sharp, strategic. He could see the moves before they happened, predict the power shifts, and capitalize on weakness. It wasn't long before he was running entire operations, pulling strings behind the scenes, and becoming a name whispered with a mix of respect and fear. But with power came enemies, and Marcus's ascent had painted a target on his back. Rivals tested him, law enforcement hunted him. He'd narrowly escaped prison time more than once, slipping through the cracks of the system like smoke. But even smoke can only drift so far before it dissipates. Everything changed the night of November 14th. It was supposed to be a simple exchange, money for product. Routine. But nothing is ever routine in Eastbrook. The ambush was swift and brutal, bullets slicing through the night air, shattering the stillness with chaos and bloodshed. Marcus barely made it out, the graze of a bullet still fresh on his arm as he crashed through alleyways, finally collapsing behind a row of rusted dumpsters. That night, as sirens blared in the distance and his blood pooled onto the cracked pavement, Marcus realized something: he was running out of time. The walls were closing in, and the life he'd built on fear and power was crumbling beneath him. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he stared at the darkened sky, replaying his life like a broken film reel. Was this it? A cycle of violence and survival until it all caught up with him? His mother's weary eyes flashed in his mind, the way she would look at him with a mixture of love and despair. It was then that Marcus made a decision. If he was going to survive, truly survive, it wouldn't be by running the streets. It would be by leaving them behind. But walking away from the Iron Kings was a death sentence. You don't just leave. Blood in, blood out. Marcus knew the stakes, but something in him had shifted, a flicker of hope, a whisper of redemption. He would have to be smart, strategic. The same instincts that had made him a leader in the Iron Kings would now have to guide him out. The first step was distance. Marcus left Eastbrook under the cover of night, slipping away like the ghost he had always been. He had saved up just enough to disappear, at least for a while. He resurfaced months later, 1,000 miles away in a city where no one knew his name, with a plan that would test everything he'd ever learned. He would rebuild, not the life he had, but the one he wanted. But the shadows of Eastbrook weren't so easily outrun, and the past has a way of finding those who try to bury it. Marcus stepped off the bus with nothing but a duffel bag slung over his shoulder and a head full of plans. The city was unfamiliar, towering glass buildings stretched toward the sky, bustling streets teemed with life, a stark contrast to the hollow decay of Eastbrook. He inhaled deeply, the air tinged with the scent of possibility and exhaust fumes. For the first time in years, Marcus felt something foreign, hope. He found a room in a rundown motel, just enough to lay his head and collect his thoughts. The television hummed with static before flickering to life, casting muted light across the cracked walls. Marcus watched the news with a sharp gaze, analyzing the city, its leaders, its structure. Old habits die hard. Survival had taught him strategy, survival would now teach him reinvention. He needed money, not the dirty kind that came with whispers and bloodstains, but legitimate capital. It was then he remembered an old acquaintance, Jose Alvarez, a mechanic-turned-entrepreneur who had managed to claw his way out of the streets. Jose owed him a favor, and in this new life, Marcus intended to collect. With a burner phone and a few well-placed calls, Marcus set up a meeting. He dressed simply, blending into the morning crowd, his eyes scanning every alley, every shadow. Eastbrook had trained him to never let his guard down. Old instincts were hard to kill. But here, in this new city, those instincts might just be the thing that saved him. The meeting with Jose set everything in motion. What began as a simple favor, a job at Jose's modest auto shop, quickly turned into an opportunity. Marcus poured everything he had into the work, learning the trade, managing operations, and eventually, expanding the business. Word spread of the shop that never closed, that fixed cars with speed and precision. Marcus's knack for strategy hadn't faded, it had evolved. Within 5 years, Marcus wasn't just running a garage, he was running a chain of them, branded under Rivera Industries. He invested in the community, hiring ex-cons, mentoring troubled youth, and creating opportunities that Eastbrook never gave him. His name became synonymous with second chances. But redemption is never without its trials. Shadows from Eastbrook resurfaced, old enemies looking for payback. When an Iron King's affiliate attempted to sabotage his business, Marcus stood firm, not with violence, but with the power he had built. Legal teams, community backing, and local government connections dismantled the threats one by one. In 10 years, Marcus Ghost Rivera had become a symbol of transformation, a man who traded bloodstained streets for boardrooms and broken dreams for empires. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was thriving. And he did it all as the man he promised himself he would become, not a ghost of Eastbrook, but its greatest redemption story.